Welcome back to Kharmatic Mushroom, where we delve into the perplexing mysteries of the darkest corners of Reddit. Today, in a post from Leatherfocus6535, we journey to the heart of a chilling episode from the 1980s, one that left a community shaken and bewildered. Michael Silka, a name that sent shivers down the spines of many. As we unravel this tale, remember, our intent is not to sensationalize, but to understand and reflect. Let's venture into the shadows of Michael Silka's past, together. Michael Silka, an Illinois man that went on a killing spree in the remote Alaskan village of Manly Hot Springs and was shot dead in a shootout with state troopers. Illinois native Michael Silka was a mass murderer who committed a 1984 killing spree in Manly Springs, Alaska. He had a lifelong fascination with both the wilderness and firearms, and sought to live like the 19th century mountain men of the American West that he idolized. Throughout his teenage years, Silka's obsessive interests had propelled him into having several brushes with the law. Silka was arrested several times for robbing sporting goods stores for camping equipment and guns. He also ran away to the Canadian wilderness with his brother at one point, and the two only returned home when their supplies ran out. Silka was also frequently detained and fined for publicly carrying a 19th century muzzleloader. In 1978, shortly after one of arrests pertaining to openly carrying his musket, Silka joined the U.S. Army. During his service, he was stationed in Fort Wainwright. Despite being exceptionally skilled with his service weapons and basic training, he proved to be unruly. Silka had several infractions on his record, including discharging his gun in the barracks and assaulting military police personnel. This all culminated him in being discharged in 1981. In civilian life, Silka still continued his pattern of violating weapons possession laws. Silka was pulled over by traffic patrolmen in 1982, and they found a .44 caliber revolver, a .22 caliber pistol, and two knives in his car. He tried resisting the officers during their search, which added a resisting arrest charge. Silka ended serving a total of 4 days in jail. A similar incident occurred in 1983 when patrolmen pulled Silka over and found a .22 caliber rifle in his car's backseat. Silka skipped bail and fled to Alaska. Silka moved to Chena Ridge, a remote Alaskan village. Trouble quickly started brewing shortly after Silka's arrival when his 34-year-old neighbor Roger Culp went missing. Although Culp's body wasn't found, traces of blood were discovered in the snow near his home. Silka was the immediate person of interest, and he disappeared before he could be questioned by officers. He reappeared about a month later in Manly Springs, another remote Alaskan village that only contained a population of 80 residents. Silka quickly impressed the locals with his prowess in the outdoors. He set up a tent near the boat landing and lived in it. On May 17th, a group of 6 locals, which consisted of 30-year-old Fred Burke, 27-year-old Albert Hagen, 36-year-old Lyman Klein, Lyman's 30-year-old pregnant wife Joycey, their 2-year-old son Marshall, 24-year-old Dale Madachsky, and 38-year-old Larry McVeigh went missing near the boat landing. Their disappearances were reported by their family and friends. When officers searched the site, they found blood and used cartridges. Silka was the immediate suspect, and he fled upstream with Burke's stolen boat. Authorities launched a search with 2 helicopters. They found Silka a day later 25 miles away from Manly Springs. As they were hovering in their helicopters, the officers ordered Silka to surrender, but he refused and opened fire on them. A 34-year-old trooper named Troy Duncan was killed by a gunshot to the head, while his captain Donald Lawrence was wounded in the face by the same bullet. The officers then killed Silka with their return fire. Silka was 25 years old at the time of his death. The shootout was so intense that officers involved that were Vietnam veterans likened it to combat in the war. After Silka's death, the victim's family, friends, and the authorities combed all across the river for their bodies. 4 of the bodies were discovered months later, while the remaining 4, including Culp's, still remain lost to this day. Burke in particular was discovered 75 miles away from the murder site by his wife Lillian. Silka's motivations are unknown and taken with him to the grave. Now here are some of the post's top comments. Please like and don't forget to comment your thoughts below.